What up, what up? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Mo.J and we are locked in. This is episode 2 of Jupiter's Legacy. Now, we know in episode 1 we had a battle of epic proportions. The Utopians flew in. We fighting Black Star. He whooping on everybody. He took out 3 people, but we don't know who this guy is. Because at the end, we seen the real Black Star. And you know on this channel, I like action. But before we get into episode 2, shout out to the notification gang. If you're new to the channel, you want to be a part of this, hit the subscribe button, turn on your notification bell so you get something every time I upload. Hit the like button. It's the easiest thing you can do. We on that road to 6,000 subscribers. Now, we got to figure out who this guy was and how was he whooping on all of us like this and he was just a clone. But I know you don't want to hear much from me, so let's jump into it. This is episode 2 of Jupiter's Legacy, the recap. We got Black Star in here. He's looking at the body, got his glasses on. Yeah, this ain't me. This is some knockoff made in China. How can you be so sure? That's what everybody wants to know. Are you sure this is a knockoff or is this some of your work? He said, if that was me out there fighting, I would have whooped on all of y'all. And of course, Brandon, using his emotions, just like his dad said he got to stay away from. Oh man, no you wouldn't have. Yeah, I'm thinking the real Black Star would have got loose on you. Because if anybody comes in with glasses and that confident, yeah, they ain't playing around. They escort Black Star up out of here and he's yelling, how can your son kill somebody and we don't punish him? Y'all know the code, whether we're good or bad, we don't kill. That's not what we do. And they escort him out. Now we know that Sheldon is like, yeah, you're right about that. And he even confronted his son about it. But everyone's trying to figure out, where did this clone come from? Because that's the most important thing. Now this clone didn't talk at all. But the real Black Star, he runs off in his mouth and he just blabbers and goes on. So they're like, yeah, this can't be the real one. Because they just escorted him out of here. So we're still confused on where did this clone come from. The only way we're going to figure out what this is and to get the answers we need, we're going to have to open this body up, do an autopsy on it, find out is this clone from here on Earth or is it from a different planet or galaxy? But we're going to figure out where this thing is from. With the death of this Black Star, everyone's looking like, man, we have never seen this happen on Earth. You guys are heroes. You're not supposed to be killing these people. What does Dr. Paraguay got to say about this? That's the other Black Star. And they're like, well, he's locked up and he doesn't want anyone to die, regardless if they're good or bad, because that's the code that they live by. But they also did a poll and saying, hey, 70% of Americans, they agree with Brandon killing him to stop from killing somebody else. How do you guys feel about changing from that code and actually using your guys' power to protect us? Now, we know Sheldon, he's like, man, no, that ain't the code, man. We don't live like that. We don't kill people. But the crowd, they feel like there may be other villains, little groups coming together that are going to attack us. Y'all got to lead by force. That's the only way that these people are going to get the message and not bother us. But of course, the whole crowd, they hear Sheldon say, that's not what we do. We live by the code. We're not supposed to kill. And everybody's, boo, get him out of here. We want a real hero. We want Brandon. They didn't say that, but they're pretty much saying, hey, we want somebody that's going to use their powers and actually whoop some ass out here. We need help. We see Brandon outside practicing his throwing. He's throwing some stuff at a can, some rocks and stuff, and he's knocking them down. Now, Sheldon gets out there and he's trying to talk to him and tell him, all right, listen. What you did out there, you saved me and everything, but that's not the code. That's not what we use our powers for. And Brandon's trying to say, I had to decide between killing him or letting my father die. And I'm not going to let my father die because we all know he looks up to his dad. That's the only thing he has. I want to be just like my dad. I want to take over once my dad is gone. But Sheldon is still sticking to the code. You need to stay here, stay low, and stay out of the scene until this blows over, because that's not what we're about. Now, this is where the father and son clash, because you gotta move from that old way to the new way. These villains, they ain't playing the same way that they used to play. You know, Black Star used to have respect for y'all. Even though he was a villain, he still have respect for you. But these new villains, they don't care. We don't even know what that was. That clone was about to kill everybody. They're not playing fair. We gotta change up our game, Dad. And Brandon's just talking to him like, Dad, wouldn't you have done the same if it was me? If the roles reversed and that clone was whooping on me, would you have done it? And Sheldon, of course, he probably would have done it because it's his son, but he wants him to live by the code and say, even when you're under that amount of pressure, you have to stay focused. The code is what's going to guide you. And for Brandon, that hurts to not hear his dad say, I would have killed somebody for you. I mean, that's your dad. You would expect that from him. We still don't know what Brandon's true power is. We know he can fly, he has some strength, but unlike his dad can shoot lasers out of his eye. And Sheldon's saying, I know you don't have that, but this is also Sheldon's way of saying, once you figure it out, you'll be able to harness that energy and be able to use whatever power that you haven't uncovered yet. So Brandon still has a long way to grow, but that's all his dad wants him to do is grow to be as great as he is, even better. Back in 29, the boys, they got to figure out how they're going to dress their father for the funeral. We remember he jumped off the roof and committed suicide once the stock market started to crash because we figured there's something else going on. Now, Sheldon has a tie and says, this is Dad's favorite tie. And Walt's like, that's not his favorite tie. He just wore it because you gave it to him. Now, we see that a lot. Kids bring home terrible drawings in elementary and you put it on the refrigerator, not because it's good, but because it makes your child feel good that you appreciate their work. I know a lot of y'all watching, y'all got stuff on your refrigerator. You're like, man, my kid ain't really that gifted, but you still have it up on that refrigerator. The brothers get to arguing about what they're going to do with the company. Now, the board, you could be the CEO of your company, but the board is actually the people that are going to make the decision. Now, the board's saying we need to shut down the operations because we're losing too much money. We know Sheldon, he is a people's person. He talks to all the employees when he comes in. He's like, we're not shutting down because that's going to put people out on the streets. But Walt, the numbers guy, we know we want to keep a job for everybody, but it's going to financially kill us. And if we keep these people working, we're going to be taking money away from the company. And in the end, everything is going to be closed. Mr. Sampson, we got some news for you. Two gentlemen come in with a newspaper. And what does it say on the front page? The death of capitalism. Now, this article was saying that their father betted against the company, used all of the workers' pension to go ahead and expand the company. Now there's no money for any of the workers. They have to close down. And this is one reason that he committed suicide. I won't say one reason. This is the main reason. Whenever it's a lot of money like this and they seen that you weren't doing what you're supposed to do on the back end, they coming for you because jail time is imminent or these people are going to be on you. Now, for Sheldon, he doesn't want to see his dad slender like this. So he's about to go to the newspaper. Sheldon gets up there and he's opening up the newspaper and he's reading it off. He's like, oh man, this is slander. Who wrote this? And G. Kennedy comes down, but it turns out it's a woman. And he's saying, how could you write this when all this stuff is lies? She says, nothing in here is a lie. Everything is double checked. Your dad lost all that money in the stock market betting people's pensions. Your dad was a bad man. He's not the man that you thought he was. So for Sheldon, he's like, the man I looked up to was doing this? You know he was hurt. Now he's trying to flip it on G. Kennedy like, hey, my dad helped build this country. All this steel around the city, it was me, my dad. We did this. What do you do? What do you contribute? And she's sitting there like, what do I contribute? I give the news. If it wasn't for me, no one would even know about your dad and the little scandals that he's doing behind the scenes. We get to see Petra and her father. Now, her father is in a wheelchair. He used to be a superhero. Now, you can't be that good of a superhero if you got whooped and it paralyzed you. Now, that's just, hey. But he's talking to his daughter and he's asking her about how was she during the fight. And she said, I ran, I was brave. But he's saying not while you was fighting. He's just saying overall, you're overcoming everything. Now, I didn't expect you to follow me into being a superhero, but you did. And the thing about this is another girl. She just wants to be like her father. She wants to make her father proud, especially because he's in a wheelchair. So he's just talking her through it and telling her to stay focused and remain calm because you'll get through this. It's going to be tough. They didn't lose anybody back then, but they lost 3 people. So for her, Petra, it's going to be tough adjusting to this. But this is the life that she chose. Now, we know Sheldon wants to be close with his daughter because that's what fathers want to do. Now, his daughter, she's going through a rough time. We know she's on drugs. We know she's drinking heavily. So he shows up to her house like, hey, I got them bagels from New York that you always wanted. And for her, she hasn't been seeing eye to eye with him. And you know how kids are. She doesn't really want to see him. But at the same time, it is dad. So she lets him come on in. He's trying to have an icebreaker. He's asking her, what kind of shoot do you have coming up? Is it a wholesome one where you have on a nice long dress, some scenery behind you, maybe some palm trees or something nice, you know, some architecture behind you? And she's looking at him with her coffee like, why are you here? It was just a joke. It was just a joke. Jeez, I know you don't do those kind of shoots. The reason he's here is because he's asking her, is she going to come to the funeral? Now, you know, there were 3 dead bodies, all slain because Sheldon, our leader, couldn't handle this clone. Now, She's like, why would I go there? Do you want me there? He's like, yeah, I want you there, but I also want you there to support your brother, because a brother and sister, they have a bond that's going to be closer than a son and a father. And Brandon, the only person he's going to listen to is Chloe. So Chloe, you got to come. Brandon is going through it. Now, this right here is really hurting her, because Chloe's like, Dad, the reason I'm here on the other side of the country is because you were never really there for us. When you put on that suit and the cape, that's who you are. You don't really spend time with us. But these kids got to understand, your dad is a world superhero. You all have powers. The reason you're here on Earth is for a different reason than other kids and parents. Your connection with your dad is to be a superhero. But kids, they still feel neglected, and she just letting the dad know, you being a superhero is who you really are. You being a dad is secondary. Now he's trying to explain, as a dad, we are our own worst enemies. Every time we try to come up with a solution to fix what's going on, you being here, not being connected to us, you feel like it's I'm attacking you. And you start putting up those walls, those barriers, and start defending yourself. We're not going to make any progress like that. But he's trying to let her know, hey, we really, we really need you to be closer to us, because that's how our family's going to operate and be able to go to the next level. Walt, we know he's on charge of the book, so he's looking over everything. He looks at the newspaper and sees his dad laying there. In comes Sheldon. What's the lawyer's number? We're going to sue the newspaper. Walt's like, man, hang up. We ain't suing nobody. Everything in that newspaper was right. I went over the numbers. I contacted the bank. All of the numbers are correct, dog. Dad used the pension fund to do our expansion and blew all the money. It's over with. The board said we got to shut down for 5 months. Sheldon, we can't do that. We can't afford to let people just go off in the streets with no money. Well, there's no pension. There's nothing we can do for these people at this point. Mr. Samsung, he ruined this company. Walt's telling him, look, Sheldon, all you did was work here. I lived here. And from the time we put this up, I've been trying to make sure that we stayed afloat. Everything that we did, we had to get a little dirty to get this money. And that's facts. No corporation gets to that big without being dirty. It may not be illegal, but they're doing some stuff behind the scenes that you may not know about. And of course, their company did it too. That's why they were the largest steel company in the city. But Sheldon doesn't want to believe that. Sheldon has to go down there and tell all the workers that we seen in the first episode, hey man, it's over with. We got to shut down for at least 5 months, man. But as soon as we get back up and running, we're gonna holler at all y'all. But he can't make that promise. So everybody's got to leave. Willie's got his back, because Willie's like, man, he's a good dude. It's just, this is the way the market is going. A lot of people losing their job. It's just weighing in so heavy on Sheldon. His dad told him, I'll be right down. He didn't think he meant right down on the pavement. He thought he was going to come right down. But Grace is trying to tell him, it's not your fault, man. What he was going to do is what he was going to do. He messed up all that stuff, and he felt like the only way he could live with himself was to not live. So now it's just a lot of stuff on his head, because that's your dad, that's your idol, that's your hero. But to see him do that right in front of you, hey, that's going to be on your conscience forever. We got to get ready for the funeral. Brandon's eyes all busted up. We have 3 lost members from fighting the clone. We don't even know where it's from. Brandon doesn't have the courage, and he doesn't know what to say, because he lost 3 of his friends. When you look at his levels to it, of course, you got Sheldon, the top utopian, and then you got, his brother and everybody else. But when it comes to the teenagers in the second generation, Brandon is supposed to be that next guy. So he has to speak at this funeral, but he doesn't know what to say, because he lost friends. They all follow him wherever he goes, because he's the leader of the second generation. But it's going to be tough on him. His mom is giving him words of encouragement. Just be brave. Speak from your heart. Fear is a part of life, because we all go through it, but the key is getting through it. You see what I'm saying? We all go through it, but getting through it is the key. So she just let them know it's going to hurt, but you got to do this. What's interesting here is, while we see Sheldon at the current funeral for the young 3 that passed, we start to get flashbacks of him being at his pop's funeral. Now, the reason we're getting this is because he speaks at his father's funeral, and his son is doing the same thing at this funeral. So this is it's showing that they have a connection, and their life isn't too far off the same path. At this point, Sheldon doesn't have his power. So he's giving his speech, and he's saying, when you're blinded, you start to not see and he starts shaking and stuff. And people are wondering what's going on with him. He's sweating. He's wiping his eyes and stuff. Like, what's really wrong with him? He falls down to the ground, start having a seizure. Everybody's running over like, what the hell is going on? Because this is in the middle of a funeral. You have to remember that. He's giving a speech about his father, the man that committed suicide right in front of him. And he just passes out and no one knows what's going on. Just like his father, Brandon gets up there and he starts speaking about his 3 friends, because not only were they superheroes, they were people. These were people he hung out with, he grew up with, he knew them. They were doing everything together. So we see little glimpses of him hanging out with them, eating and stuff. But he's trying to say they're more than just superheroes. They're more than what their suits were. They are real people, and he's sorry he couldn't do more to help them survive and make it through this attack. Petra and her dad come over there, and they're just asking Brandon, how does he feel? But her dad is like, hey, thank you, because my daughter is still here and she's alive because of you. I know we lost 3, but for me, my daughter is here and I appreciate everything you did. You made the right decision, talking about killing the clone. Brandon goes over and talks to Karen. Now, Karen is the wife of Barry who passed. They have 2 kids, and she's saying the kids seen the death on the news. They didn't even blur it out or anything. So she's saying, hey, can you ask your Uncle Walt? Can he just come over here and like clear their mind and remove it from their brain? And Brandon's like, that's not what he uses his power for. He's not going to do that, especially not on kids. Like, this is something that happened in their life, but you can't just erase this from their memory. They're going to see it when they get older, and they're going to be like, hey, man, that happened to my father. That's not what Walt does. Now, the police officer comes over with some money, and he gives it to Karen. He's like, it's not much, but it's some money that we collected at the precinct. Now, the police chief comes over and kind of throws a little jab at Brandon and says, it's just too many funerals on y'all and on us. And Brandon's saying, we're trying our best, and I know you guys are too. But the police chief says there's a thing between trying and getting it done, meaning y'all got powers. Y'all need to be figuring this out. Y'all are letting too much happen. Us police officers, you know we can't stop nothing with our little pistols. You seen the first scene. You came and we were getting whooped on by some dudes in some gorilla masks. You gotta help us, you utopians. Sheldon is really with sticking with the code. He's talking about, man, you see all those people lobbying for Brandon, saying he did the right thing by killing that villain? That's not what we do. The people, they don't understand if we start doing that, the things aren't going to work. Now, Grace, she's like, hey, man, the supervillains, they're changing the rules. We're going to have to adapt to it, because if not, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. If Brandon wasn't allowed to kill, you'd be dead and we'd be trying to figure something out right now. That clone would have been running through everybody if we didn't kill him. And Sheldon, he just doesn't understand. When times change, you got to start changing with it. We got to get rid of the code. We got to start whooping some ass. Back in 29, we know Sheldon had the little pass out at the funeral. We got our good friend George in here playing solitary on the bed. Now, Walt, he just lost his father. Now his brother, we don't know what he's in, a coma or whatever. He's like, where's the doctor at? Somebody needs to be in here 24/7. How much money we're paying. And George is playing cards. He doesn't really care. While Sheldon's laying there, he starts having a little nightmare, and you hear his dad say, gather your crew. You see some people walking across the field. We see this random windmill. So we're like, what is going on? What is going through his head? You also hear, look to the island and save America. This is setting up, hey, when Sheldon recovers, we're going to have to figure out what was in my mind. I'm going to have to figure out what the voice in my head was telling me to do. Now, he's talking to Walt. He's like, oh, I'm alive. I seen an island and there was a message. They're like, a message from who? He's like, from Dad. So whenever you have like something in your brain pop up like this, oh, we got to figure this out. An island where we ain't got no money right now to be going to no island. We shutting down the steel mill, but an island from Dad? And then all of a sudden, we see the dad right here with the side of his skull cracked open from when he fell off the building. This show is starting to get twisty. All right, there you go. Episode 2 to recap. Do you think that Brandon was wrong for killing the clone? I think he was right. He saved his dad, and he also saved a lot more lives, because we already lost 3 in just that one battle. Let me know what y'all think below. But hey, I'm Mo.J. Thanks for watching. That's episode 2. Be here for episode 3. I think I'm going to drop them. Sunday I did episode 1. I think Monday I'm going to do 2 and 3, then 4 and 5, 6, 7, and then 8 will be on Thursday like I do my other series. But let me know what you think about Brandon killing the clone. I'm Moda J. Thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button if you like the content. I'm out.
Jimmy on the beat, boy.